Hi everyone, I've got a breathwork practice to share with you today, and for this particular breathwork, the positioning can really help. So we're going to come into a lying down position for this. You absolutely can do this on your furniture if it doesn't work for you to do it on the floor. You'll notice I have a bolster here. So this is a firm cushion. The purpose of this is going to be just to lift my feet up higher than my hips. It does not have to be this particular item that you use to do that. Feel free to fold some blankets, to use yoga blocks, to stack up some stuff, whatever you've got. It's not a big deal. We're just looking to get the body into a position where it might be a little bit easier to feel what's going on with your breath. So we're going to lie down. And I have my feet positioned just a little bit higher than my hips. I have them supported, my knees are bent. I'm settling into feeling what this position feels like here. And I'm going to think about, with my feet higher, letting my pelvis rock back a little bit so that my low back flattens into the floor. There's maybe just a very slight lift through my tailbone. I'm going to bring my arms into a comfortable position, taking a few breaths to let my shoulders relax if they're willing, settling into the support of the earth, and just noticing my breath as it is. So you're breathing quietly in and out through your nose, noticing the sensations of breath as you go. We're going to play with a little bit the mechanics of breath, so playing with how you're breathing and really thinking about what's happening in and around the rib cage. It may even feel good to bring your hands onto your ribs so that you can feel a little bit more what's happening, but you don't have to do this. As you're breathing in, you're going to start to think about the side ribs here, broadening out to the side as you breathe in. And you're going to see if you can do that without bringing in a whole lot more breath. So this is not about breathing more deeply. It's about redirecting the volume of breath that you're already using, just sending a little more of it into the sides of the rib cage. So we'll take a few breaths to feel into that, just noticing what that's like. Seeing if you can feel that side rib expansion. And then you might see if you can send some breath into the back of the rib cage. If your pelvis is rocked back and your low back is flattened, that may help you get more of the back ribs onto the floor, and you may be able to feel the breath there in that area of contact. So again, this isn't about taking the biggest breath you can and trying to expand everything as much as you can. It's more about, can you use the feedback? Can you use your imagination and your felt sense of your own body to start to direct more of the existing volume of breath into the back of your lungs? So you're noticing what that feels like. And by the way, this is not about achieving the perfect breath. So let yourself be where you are, experiencing what you're experiencing. See if you can get curious about what happens if I shift my breath a little bit in this different way. That's all. That's all it is. And then, without introducing a whole lot of strain here, if you can, we're going to think about your rib cage as a round circumference. We're going to see if we can expand all the way into the rib cage in all directions evenly. So you're breathing into the whole rib cage, breathing out, letting that settle, breathing three-dimensionally into the rib cage, seeing if you can feel some expansion in the side ribs and the back ribs as you inhale. In addition to the front ribs, it's relatively easy to move the front ribs. So you're just seeing if you can find a nice, easy, round, three-dimensional breath. And then we're going to shift something else. So now we're going to start to think about the exhale. So you're breathing into the whole rib cage. Nice and easy inhale. No need to force a lot of breath in. And then you're going to see if you can use your muscles to hold the expansion of the rib cage as you breathe out. So now you're keeping the rib cage expanded. As you breathe out, you might notice the abdomen naturally settles. So you're going to breathe into the rib cage, and then you're holding that expansion as you breathe out. Breathing into the rib cage, holding that expansion as you breathe out, and noticing the sensations that happen in the abdomen, deep out, deep lower abdomen. Just kind of feeling how those muscles start to kick on and how the breath starts to feel different as you blow out or breathe out, not blow out, breathe out gently, right? So you're holding that ribcage expansion here. And then if everything's feeling okay here, we'll add one more layer to this. So remember, check in with your pelvic position. Pelvic position is not crucial, but it will help if you are rocked a little bit back potentially to feel what's happening here. So you're inhaling into the rib cage, you're keeping the rib cage expanded as you breathe out. And then you're going to add a second exhale. So you've already breathed out. Now you're breathing out again, and you're going to use a little more effort probably to press out that second exhale. And you're just going to notice what that effort feels like naturally. So you're breathing into the ribcage, holding expansion, breathing out, and then breathing out again. Maybe getting a little extra work here in the lower abdomen as you're pressing that breath out. Maybe feeling like the abdomen needs to draw in a little bit to do that. And we'll just keep going for a few cycles. So you're breathing into the rib cage, exhaling with the rib cage extended, and then exhaling again. We want to keep everything still light and easy. Even though we're expending some effort, there's a difference between effort and struggle, right? So we're not going to a place where we're straining and struggling and feeling out of breath. It's okay to take a break at any point if you need to reset. If you're starting to notice, ooh, tension now is creeping up into my shoulders, into my face. I'm really not in the same place anymore. Just let it go, reset. And if you want to, come back to that breath pattern. Just noticing what you naturally feel. Some of us may start to feel the pelvic floor getting involved in the breath. So these are the muscles that run along the base of the pelvis. And you may feel a deep inner contraction naturally happening as you go. You can let that happen if it happens. No need to force it. Unless you've had your pelvic floor assessed and you know there's something that you personally should be doing here. You're just going to let it be organic and notice what happens. And after your next cycle of breath, you're just going to release all of that effort. If it feels good, you can even let your pelvis kind of just self-organize wherever it wants to be. You're just going to breathe quietly in and out. Noticing the natural rhythm of your breath unfolding. All the sensations that come together with that. You're welcome to linger here if that feels like something you want to do. If you want to get up, one thing you could do if it feels good is roll to your side and extend the top leg as you press up. Can be a nice way to come up here, or you can come up a different way if you want to. And then once you've come upright, if you're doing that at this time or if you're going to do it later, just take a moment and notice how you feel. Noticing what awareness you have of your breath as you come to an upright position. If you have questions about this, feel free to ask them in the comments. If you want to share what your experience was like, feel free to do that. If this was interesting, something you might explore a little bit and see what you learn from it, see what it does for you, what you notice before, during, and after. Thank you for taking time to practice with me today. May we all be balanced and well. Thank you so much.